Yeah.
Did you ever get Montezuma's Revenge while playing Montezuma's Revenge?
All right, welcome to the TwinCast pod. We're a video game podcast where we pick up an old video game, we dust it off, turn around in our hands, and we try to ascertain if it holds up today. We have kind of a different sort of setup here. The context here is it's actually Father's Day 2025. We're up at a park not far away from where Cam lives. We have our family, they're all down there on the hill, but we brought our recording gear with us so that we could do a podcast in person. So that's why things are a little bit different today.
Yeah, you might hear a little ambient noise of kids and dogs and stuff like that, but that's all good. It's part of the whole ambiance of the thing. So.
Yeah, so anyway, we're excited for today's podcast. We're talking about a very old and hidden gem. It's called Montezuma's Revenge, and we're just going to let the discussion run all over the place.
Oh man, that hamburger I just ate, it may have not been cooked enough, Clark.
Yeah. We might get a little revenge on you.
So Montezuma's Revenge, Clark, tell us a little bit about this game.
Well, real quick before we do, I just want to plant the seed for next month's discussion so that you guys can play and be prepared for that. We're going to talk about Half-Life, a certified amazing 90s first-person shooter, blazed a lot of great ground. We got one of our good friends that we only see once a year, maybe at most, who is like an expert on that game, and he's going to be talking with us about that next week.
Yeah, so. I'm excited about it. Next month.
Yeah, next month, right. Anyway, so let's just talk about this old video game. This is going to be a little bit less structured than some of our other podcasts. Just going to have a conversation. In fact, one of the things that we were going to do is we're going to insert a conversation we had with our sister. This is, I don't know about your experience, Cam. What is your experience again? Maybe we'll start with that.
Well, my experience is we were really young when we were, this is one of our very first experiences with video games. We had an Apple II clone, or some people may have called them crapples. It wasn't an Apple II, it was a crapple. Anyways, and we just had a bunch of games that our dad had somehow acquired, probably just on those big fat 5-inch floppy disks. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching our sister Nicki play this game quite a bit, and we were young. I think we probably figured we were 4 or 5 years old when we tried to play this game, and it was extremely hard for us, and we would die really quick. So we would watch our sister, who was 13 or so, and she was able to navigate and get much farther than us. So I just remember thinking she was amazing.
Yeah. In fact, let's right now, let's insert the clip of us talking to our sister here at this point. So we'll catch you back here at the park in just a little bit. For everyone, this is our older sister, Nicki. She's 6 years older than us, and I think she's the first person that we would watch play video games. Is that right, Nicki? Do you remember that at all?
That sounds right, but if I'm the first person you watch play video games, I'm surprised you got into them at all. Good heavens.
So,
talk about a train wreck, wow.
No, well, I mean, so the context for this is so do you remember what year it was that we got that Apple IIe compatible computer?
You know, I've been trying to think about that, and I don't know that I know for sure. I would say, oh man, okay, let me think here. I'm going to say I was probably about 12 or 13, which would have put it roughly 87 or 88, but that's a guess at best.
Okay. So that means that we would have been like 4 or 5 years old when we got that. And that was like, at least from my memory, my first experience, or at least that I can remember, of seeing video games being played. Is that the same for you, Cam?
Correct. That and the Odyssey 2 that we had.
That's true. There's the Odyssey 2.
Gosh, Odyssey is really going back their ways.
Well, we may have had the Apple II before the Odyssey. I can't remember. We were so young.
No.
We
Yeah.
didn't?
No.
The Odyssey was before?
Yeah, the Odyssey came long before that Apple-compatible computer.
So one of my first memories of this is kind of a little off the track here. I remember going with Dad and picking up the Odyssey 2. He bought it from someone off a classified, I think, out of the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
And I remember going with him. I was really young, but
Well, I don't think I remember that. That's interesting. I don't think I knew where it came from.
I think he must have picked it up sometime close to the video game crash of 1980. Like it must have been 84 or 85. So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so yeah, right around that time period. And then it wasn't too long ago or after that we got the Apple II. And I remember the Christmas we got the Apple II because we had one of those dot matrix printers, and the program that you would run on there was called Print Shop.
Print Shop, yep.
Print Shop.
Oh gosh, yes, that's
And
right.
it was when we came down Christmas morning, it said "Merry Christmas" on a little banner. Remember the paper would fold, like perforated,
Uh-huh.
folded
Yeah,
paper.
yeah, the dot matrix
Oh
printers.
gosh, that tractor feed paper. Woo.
So that's when I first saw this game being played. Was on that Apple computer, and it had to be the first like platforming game that I saw being played. So
Oh my goodness.
let's talk to just real quick about your memories of that Apple II computer, Nicki. Like what games do you remember playing on that?
Oh man. Well, I was talking here with Matthew, my husband, and I was just thinking about the fact that probably the majority of our games must have been pirated. Because it seems like Dad made a lot of copies of discs at school.
Yeah, I was going to say he had access to a lot of these games because of at school they had the same kind of computers. So I think
Exactly.
the teachers may have shared some of those games.
Probably.
It was so easy.
he
Like
would
they
come
were those
home-
big big floppy disks, not the 3.5-inch ones.
Oh
like
yes.
like
Yep,
the
they were
like the
5 1/4. Yeah.
5.25-inch, like really floppy like disc. They
Yeah.
were.
They put the floppy in the floppy disk. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so easy. Like you would just put I remember at Dad's work they had those like dual drives, and like you could just put one disc in the top and another disc in the bottom, and
Oh,
it would
God,
and
yeah.
it would copy it. And so I mean that's why he got that computer, I think, is because the software he used for school
Yeah.
he could put on our computer, and then he could just make copies.
Yeah.
That was probably true.
Well,
some
everyone
of
did
those
it back
games-
then, so
Mhm.
yeah. Everyone does it now too.
Well, true. Oh man.
So, well, I mean, guess steering the conversation back to Montezuma's Revenge, which is the game that we wanted to ask you about, is what were your like memories of that game? Did you play it like pretty soon after we got that computer? Was it later or?
Boy, I think it was probably pretty soon after we got the computer, because again, it was one of those games that Dad brought home. It was on the same disc with Diamond Mine and a couple of those other games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that. Boy, I played it, but I don't think I got very far. I don't think I ever got past about level 5 on that.
Which is
And
actually
even achieving level 5 was something else.
that's really good actually.
It gets really difficult, and going back and revisiting this game, I realize there's actually a little bit more to this game than I originally thought. But I remember, I don't think that Cam and I guess I'll speak for myself, I don't remember getting past like the 4th or maybe 5th at most level of that pyramid. But I remember
wow.
watching you, and you would get all the way to the bottom. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I just remember thinking sometimes you'd get down there without a torch and it'd be all completely dark.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you're kind of just screwed, because it's like you're kind of falling into the bottom of the pyramid. It's like, well, I can't see much here.
Yeah. Well, how did this game rank amongst the games that you played on that computer?
It must have ranked pretty high because I kept going back to play it. And I remember that being able to use the controls on the keyboard was pretty fluid for me because I played it so much that it was instinctual, which was not what happened this time when I went back to review it and play it some more. So it must have ranked pretty high.
Yeah, that emulator that we sent you to play it on, the default keys, did you try to play it with the default keys?
I did, and I just went, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean, just for context, like the default, this was before, like, nowadays, like when you play games on a keyboard,
WASD.
yeah, you have the WASD keys,
Yeah.
like that's kind of the standardized. This was before that. The keys are actually on the right, and it was like, I don't know, Q. I don't know, like, and in the jump was in the middle of it,
Yeah.
like O or something like that.
Yeah,
Jump.
and they actually had 3 different jumps: jump left, jump right, and jump up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you notice that when you played it at all, Nikki?
I did. I noticed that, and I was comparing it to what I remembered from when we played it originally, because it seems like you could just control the direction you jumped with the space bar, and then the arrow keys or whatever you're using for left and right. Whereas this emulator wanted you to define your jump left and jump right, and my coordination is not that strong.
I actually, with the way the game works, it actually makes it a little bit easier because you can go to. I'm not sure how many times you did this, but you would be running and you would misplace your jump and you would just jump too far or not jump far enough and you would just die.
Gosh, yes.
So
I did that so many times.
With this jump left and jump right, you can just go and you can stop. And then you just hit the jump left or jump right, and you know exactly where you're going.
Oh,
so it's a little bit easier.
I don't think I noticed that when I was playing this time. So
Yeah.
Well, so tell us a little bit more about like what it is you enjoyed about this game, at least that you remembered back in the day. Like, what was it that drew you into the game? Why did you like playing it?
I was kind of wondering that as I was sitting there playing this the other day. I'm like, I must have had a lot of patience and not had much else to do.
I think that was the story of a lot of kids back then.
Yep. Sounds like a retro gamer right there.
Right. Well, I think I really enjoyed trying to solve the levels and trying to get somewhere. But when you say that and you realize I never got past level 5, then it's like, well, I didn't really get anywhere, so here we are.
Yeah.
Well, level 5 is pretty far. There's a total of 9 levels, I think.
Oh, geez, yeah, I never even got so much as a look at anything like level 6. So.
Well, after level, when you get to level 3, like what happens is that level 1 is just the left side of the pyramid, level 2 is the right side of the pyramid, and then level 3 is the full pyramid. And so it's really like, once you've done 3, the only things that really change for the next few levels are the layout of the pyramid. Like sometimes it would block off different areas and stuff, but so you made through most of it. Now when you get to the harder levels, it does give you less lives and things like that, but
yeah, oh gosh, if I have less lives, I'm really going to be in trouble.
yeah.
5 lives wasn't enough to do what I needed to do.
I was going to ask you, like, is this game the genesis of your fear of spiders?
Those spiders,
you-
man, they
I
chase
was
you up
gonna
and down
say.
the ropes.
Oh gosh, they do. Yeah, they go everywhere. No, the genesis of my fear of spiders is our older sister who chased me around with a National Geographic book with spider pictures in it.
Oh, okay. So, but playing this game probably was difficult when those spiders would start chasing you around then.
Oh, those spiders, especially the really fast ones, they come trekking after you, and you're like, I can't run that fast, and I can't jump over it.
Yeah. So you mentioned this, but going back to it, you found it difficult to play. Was it
Yes.
the controls? What specifically did you find hard about
I
coming
think
back
it
to it
was
today?
the controls, just because of the fact that, again, you had to define jump left, jump right, and jump up, in addition to your up, down, left, and right. So you're dealing with, about 7 buttons, and that's just too much for my elderly brain to take. So it's just kind of like, here comes the spider zooming at you, and you panic because you don't know which of the 7 buttons you're supposed to be hitting to get away.
Yeah. Now, just for context, have you've played a few Mario games in the past, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's what one of the things I kept coming back to is like how this game differs from Mario in that, like, when you jump in this game, you commit.
Mm-hmm.
You're committed. Like, you can't change direction when you jump. Did you find that?
Don't even be thinking about changing direction. There's no such thing.
Yeah. So that got me into trouble a lot. Did you find that out? Did you find that too?
That's funny. No, I was too busy kind of inching up to where I wanted to jump. So I'd like click, 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 click. Okay, I'm going to jump right here. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what if something happens? So you kind of close your eyes and hit the key that makes you jump over where you want to be. It was all very tentative. We'll just put it that way.
Well, what other general thoughts do you have about this game, Nicki?
Oh man. Well, it was fun to revisit. It really was. I think part of what I was thinking is that how in the world did I have the patience to sit there and do that day after day? Because I'm pretty sure I spent quite a lot of time on it.
Well, you must have, because
how,
you were really
yeah.
good at it, believe it or not. At least to like my 4 or 5 year old mind, you were
Okay,
like
well, I'll take
you
it.
were like a god at this game.
Yeah.
That is me, yes. Well, and it's funny how much all the little rooms look alike, and I just kept thinking, how in the world did I ever keep straight what was what and where I was going and where I needed to get my items?
Did you ever draw your own maps or anything like that?
I didn't. I don't think it ever even occurred to me to draw a map.
Yeah.
This game definitely would like benefit from a map.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it would. Oh, my goodness, yes. But it was a fun way to pass the time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that we often do in this podcast is just like come up and like say, would you recommend that other people play this game today? So like, what would you tell? And you know what, like, talk to just like a general audience. Like you can, someone your age, should they go and play this? Or like, Gen Z, should they go play this? Like, speak to it in general. Like, what do you think? Should people check this game out?
I think people should check this game out. It's just a really fun look at retro games and what games were like way, way back in the early days of video gaming. And, it's just fun to compare to the way games are today. Games are so realistic looking today. And back then, Montezuma's Revenge was, here you race your little, block guy across the bricks, and here comes the block skull, and here comes the block spider, and whatever else. But boy,
everything was very blocky.
If you want to look at retro games, I think anybody should play it just for fun, just for comparison.
Yeah.
Well, one last question, Nicki.
Okay.
When did you ever? Did you know what the Montezuma's Revenge meant back then?
Yes.
You did?
I did. I always thought that the name of the game was a hoot. And in fact, when I told somebody about it the other day, we both started laughing just for the fact that Montezuma's Revenge is what it is. It was just really funny.
Yeah. Did you ever get Montezuma's Revenge while playing Montezuma's Revenge?
Not that I remember, but I may have blocked it out as a bad memory.
All right. Well, we thank you for your insights on this game. And like we said, us watching you play this was some of our earliest gaming memories. So thanks for that, Nicki.
Yes.
Of course.
We have you to blame for
our
our gaming addictions.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. That's awesome.
All right, so we're back. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this game. This game, it came out in 1984. So like Cameron said, on the Apple II. But Apple II was a port.
Yeah.
It first came to Atari systems. So the
2600?
Well, yeah, it came to the 2600 later. It was like the Atari computer. I forget actually what it was called. A little bit more powerful than just the actual Atari 2600. It was programmed by a 16-year-old, believe it or not. His name is Robert Yeager, and he did it all by himself. And then I think he and his dad took it to a trade show, and at the trade show they were presenting it to, and Parker Brothers bought the rights to publish it.
Yeah, this is back in the days when people who made board games and made leatherworks and stuff like that were into buying video games. It was all the craze back then.
Yeah. So, again, these were really rudimentary 8-bit games. Even pre-Nintendo, Nintendo was a pretty big leap up from these kinds of games.
Yeah.
What are some of the games that might have this game that what were some of the games before it, like the predecessors that this took inspiration from?
Well, I haven't played much of them, but there was Pitfall.
Yeah, Pitfall was a big one.
Pitfall was probably the biggest one that I can think of.
Which was a much bigger game than this game, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pitfall, where you had but Pitfall was more side-to-side screens and stuff like that, and jumping over obstacles like this game.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest influence that I can see on this game.
Yeah, I mean, there were other things too. Like, I think you could look at it like adventure.
Going around collecting things.
Yeah, and there were certainly other platform-type games before this, but I think you're right. Pitfall is like the number one inspiration for it. So, all right. Well, Cam, tell us about like the high-level concept of this game. Like, you're going to the buffet, you're getting sick. And no, wait! Oh, wait! That's something else.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this came in the time where Indiana Jones was big, so you can see the direct influence Indiana Jones also has on this game.
Your live counter is your hats.
Yes, you are Panama Joe or Pedro, depending on which version of the game that you're playing. I don't know. Are you a Team Pedro, Team Panama Joe?
Pedro all the way, right?
Yeah, because Panama Joe seems like he's like the person who's coming in and looting and stealing. Where if you're Pedro, you may be from that country.
Yeah,
and you're kind of looting your own past, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
But so yes, in the vein of like Indiana Jones, you're entering this old Mesoamerican temple pyramid thing.
Aztec, I think, is
Aztec,
what it. Yeah,
Mesoamerican. Yeah, we'll say Aztec, and you enter in the top.
yeah. And it's where Montezuma II. It's his tomb, right?
Yeah, it's his tomb. Yes. And you start, and it's a pretty cool concept because there's one level at the very start where
it's one room.
One room, and then you go down, and the next level has 3 rooms, and then the next level will have 5 rooms, so it comes down and it's a pyramid.
Yeah,
all the way down.
A total of 100 rooms.
Yeah, 100 rooms. When you first start on level 1, you only get the left side of the pyramid, and you go through, and then if you're able to navigate your way through, grabbing keys and treasures and stuff like that, you jump through and you finish, and then it starts over again. You go to the next level.
Go to level 2.
You go to level 2, and then
you can go to the right side.
The right side of the pyramid, and then you do the same thing there, and then you'll start again on level 3, and then the whole pyramid is now available for you. So, pretty cool concept for 1984, right? I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that I hadn't made this connection until like Retronauts talked about it way later. Or maybe not even Retronauts, I guess Jeremy Parrish, but this is, you could kind of say that this is like a proto-Metroidvania, is that right?
Yeah, because as you go into the rooms, you collect keys, and they're different color kind of keys. And so you have a limited inventory space. So as you're going around, you're collecting the keys to the doors that you need to open. So you kind of have to puzzle together on going to which rooms you need to go to, and sometimes you can leave an open item space for like a torch. And if you fill up your whole items things, then you can't pick up any gems because you're burdened, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, in that way, it's a literal like key to unlock a door. You need like a blue key or a white key.
Or in the case of us, we only had the monochrome monitor, so the different shades of keys.
The different shades of keys. Yes, we had the green screen. So it was harder to tell. Except we were younger back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we've talked about a couple Metroidvanias already, and you can kind of see the DNA of Metroidvanias in this game.
Yeah, I would say that this was breaking some new ground at the time. So like you can definitely draw some threads forward to, what would probably be the next big one would be the original Metroid, where it was even more so. But yeah, I think that any fan of the genre should go and at least watch some videos so they can see what the correlations are in that.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about the moment-to-moment play of this game. Like, what are you doing? Like, how are the physics of how you play it?
Okay, well, it's a kind of a typical platformer. most versions of the game that I play, you have the directional buttons and a jump button, and that's all it is to it. So you'll have platforms and like stairs and ropes and disappearing platforms and stuff, and the physics are a little strange on this.
Yes, this is pre-Mario.
Yeah, so when you jump, you are committed to the jump, and you can't change directions or slow down or anything like that. So you have to get used to how he jumps.
It's also like Mario, where like if you fall a certain like even like a little bit of a distance, you're dead.
Yes, like if you pick up this game today, don't be surprised if you find yourself jumping and missing a platform by a little bit and falling, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet and dying.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. That's one of the things you get frustrated, and his little legs kick up in the air.
Yeah. He gets like smushed down.
He gets smushed out, his legs kick up. I remember seeing that little animation when I was a kid, and I couldn't, to me it kind of looked like he was on fire or something. But now I can see what it is now, but I think it may have just been the Apple II version that you couldn't really tell. So yeah, that's basically what the gameplay is. You're jumping around through platforms on levels, trying to collect keys, avoiding enemies and obstacles.
Yeah, and you're backtracking, which is a staple of Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of cool because you're going back and forth through the different screens trying to find your way.
If you want to get a little more granular, they have ropes that you can climb up and down on, but they also have just poles, like Ghostbuster poles, that you slide down. But you know he's not strong enough to climb back up on those poles, so you have to be careful.
Yes. One of the interesting things about this game is the limited memory and what they had to work with back then. So, in the concept form, I don't know if you read this, Cam, in your research, but he wanted it to be a 48 kilobyte game.
Yeah, I did read that, yes.
But Parker Brothers wanted it to fit on a cartridge, so they had to scale it back to, I think, 14 kilobytes. So there's not a lot of variety. Like, how many different enemies are in this game?
Well, there's the skulls, there's the spiders, there's the snakes.
Some versions had a bat that, like,
bat.
if you stayed in a screen too long,
and it chases you. So there's the bat. Yeah, I remember the bat. But other than that,
I think that's it. Yeah, and so those are like the only enemies. Of course, there's like
there used to be a boss too.
Well, yeah, and like maybe we should talk about that. That's one of the things that was cut. In his concept, he had King Montezuma himself, like, stomping around.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, and you can go see videos of King Montezuma stomping around. Kind of anticlimactic in this game is like when you get to the bottom, you go into the treasure room, and you like fall down, and you can jump between ropes and collect treasure. But although if you accidentally grab like a fire pole, you go straight down and you miss all the treasure. And then you exit the level and you start back over on the next level. Yeah. So a little bit anticlimactic, and it's emblematic of games of that time where the main thing to do was to get high scores.
Yeah. So the gems and stuff, they increase your high score. So my guess is just you're trying to gain the high score so you can have bragging rights over your brothers and sisters, I guess.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't really care about high scores now. So one thing I did forget to mention is as you get lower in the pyramid, the rooms become dark and you can't see anymore. So you might want to keep an inventory slot open for a torch.
There's been plenty of times where like I had a full inventory and I went down in the dark and I couldn't see anything because I couldn't pick up a torch.
Yes.
So I had to go like one of the items you can pick up is a sword, which will allow you to run into one of the enemies and kill the enemy. Well, I mean, this game is very simple. As like we've talked mostly around what you do from time to time on it. Is there really anything else to add to it?
No, not really. It's a hard game actually. Like the platforming is difficult. It takes some getting used to. And I found when I was playing it this time, I played a couple different versions. I was playing the Master System version quite a bit, and it's
a little bit upgraded from.
It's a little bit upgraded, and I kind of liked the Master System. It looked pretty cool, but it was still really hard. It still had pretty much the same kind of physics and stuff like that. But the older versions seemed even more clunky, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what your experience were. Did you get frustrated with this game?
Yeah, so be prepared to die. Like, if you're used to modern games, and I think Mario has really spoiled a lot of people on the physics and how you move and navigate. Like, this is going to be totally different. Like, you have to line up your jumps. I think you said this before. Like, there's, like, on the third screen that you get to, you have to jump, like, back onto the platform, and then you jump over a chasm, and then, like, the ladder goes up, but it's surrounded by, like, there's just a tiny little platform that you have to jump onto to climb up the ladder.
Yes. Oh.
And lining up for that shot, like, even like today, like, it took me like 6-7 times to line it up.
I know. And there's just one room with, like, it seems like 6 or 7 floating platforms. You know which room I'm talking about? And you have to try to pick the platform, like, order that you're jumping in, and I always picked wrong. Yeah. And I would always die in that room. So
that's one thing that I want to maybe mention here is, like, these rooms, and I have a very vivid memory of watching our sister Nicki, which we put the conversation in earlier. But, like, some of those rooms are very interesting, like the way they're laid out, and they look really cool. And as a kid back in the mid 80s, it was really, really cool to watch, and we felt like you were exploring a space when you were going into those rooms.
Yeah, and back then, a little 5-year-old me, like, just the whole, like, it had atmosphere for the time. It had, you know, it had, like, the Hispanic, like, little do
like cucaracha.
Like the cucaracha music. I guess we could talk a little. All the music is just, like, royalty-free music.
Yeah, there's a couple of versions that have music playing when you're, like, I think one of the old versions had, like, some music playing. There is a modern version that they made for Steam that has some music playing too. It sounds like it was composed for the game, I think.
Yeah.
But
I guess, yeah, we were always talking about ambience and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember thinking of the game and being kind of like a version of Indiana Jones, which we really liked when we were young. We were big Indiana Jones stans. So, big fan. And it kind of puts you in that, and it's like, oh, I'm on my own adventure, looting these tombs, it belongs in a museum kind of thing, you know. And, but one thing I guess that's kind of what I thought, what Panama Joe's whole deal was, is he was some sort of Indiana Jones type. Do you think he has any other motivations except just looting tombs?
You're just looting the tomb. Like, all you're trying to do is grab those coins.
So I hope he has some, like, I'm not sure if Panama Joe would go down nowadays, so. Well,
he's probably a relative or a descendant of the conquistadors, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, Clark, what was of the versions that you played, which one would you recommend to people that play nowadays?
So, I would invite people to play, at least view some of the old ones, like one of the Atari versions or the Apple version that we saw. Like, go check it out just so you could see what it looked like today. But if you want to play it, go on Steam. It's like $10. You can find a version there that has, like, old graphics mode and a new graphics mode.
That's the version I would recommend.
Yeah, go play that. It's got a lot of quality of life, and, like, if you run out of lives, you don't have to start over from the beginning. It'll say, do you just want to keep continuing? And you just click yes. So you could just keep continuing, and then so you, like, running into some of those rooms that are really kind of complicated and, like, trying to figure out the jumps isn't as like, punishing at that point, so you can just kind of work your way through it. So
the Master System port was pretty good too, like, and it looks a little bit different than the remake too. So I would check that out too. The colors are pretty cool on it and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Master System port.
Okay. So, well, any thoughts before we wrap up this discussion and give our verdict on it?
Not really. I think we've touched on everything I want to touch on this game.
It's a basic game. Like, we can't stress that enough. Like, it was done by a 16-year-old. He did a great job, and it was really captivating, at least to us when we were kids. But there's not a lot of depth to it. So
Yeah, if you're interested in Metroidvanias and the history of Metroidvanias, give this game a check out so you can see how it was early on in the days. So
yeah, or at least go see a YouTube video on it or something. So
yeah,
all right, well, let's put our stamp on it. I'll go first, and I'll let you give the final thought on it. So ultimately, on our scale, I would probably give this a 2. So as today, like I have a lot of nostalgia. This is, again, one of my first video games, if not the first. It could be the first video game that I ever watched or saw. So I do have nostalgia. I do think there's that history piece that you talked about. I think all fans of the genre should at least go be familiar with it. But honestly, I think outside of picking it up and playing it for 10 minutes is all that people need to do today. Like, after that, it doesn't have a lot of staying power, and there's not really a lot of reasons to get into it. Like, I don't want to drag on the game too much, because I think for what it was groundbreaking. But just there's just so much better things to do with your time today.
well, I hate to give like the same opinion as you, Clark. We're a podcaster. We're supposed to butt heads here. Let's just say, no, this game is a masterpiece, and you need to check this game out. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. No, I hate to be so agreeable, but Clark pretty much hit the nail on the head here. And our sensibilities here are kind of line up because it's cool to see the history of the game, and that's about it.
Yeah, so you would give it a 2?
I'd give it a 2 also.
Okay, our nephew Trevor couldn't make it here in time. We'll try to, if we get his review score here, we'll put it in right at this point.
I was going to give it a 2. It has some interesting DNA for modern platformers, but it feels so dated with so little quality of life as to be unplayable unless you are playing it ironically.
Yeah. Right. We'll put it. Clark can put it right.
Yeah, I'll edit it in right there.
Right here. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're going to Mexico, be careful what you eat. You don't want to get real Montezuma's revenge, and hopefully this podcast didn't make you upset.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. And TwinCast is out.
Yay.
Everything you say can be held against you.
Hooray. All right. Time to spill all the tea.
Loud. Try not to touch this table.